Joining us now, former Director of National Intelligence, Jim Clapper. He's now a CNN national security analyst, of course. Good to see you, sir, as always. First of all, your take on how the AG has handled this process, culminating in today.
Well, to be honest, Chris, I'm a bit disappointed. I think the Attorney General clearly is trying to paint as favorable a light on the Mueller report as possible, and when you read it, it's pretty devastating. I'll tell you, though, the big thing for me, the big deal for me in this was laying out in very rich detail the magnitude and pervasiveness of the Russian interference in our election in 2016. And personally gratifying because of the intelligence community assessment that we rendered on January 6th of 2017, briefed then President-elect Trump on about the Russian interference. But this report, we only scratched the surface. And I hope Americans will take the time to read that. You know, collusion, obstruction aside, the big deal to me is the magnitude of the Russian interference, and no one can say they didn't interfere and in fact, I think, taint the election.
And like the president did on the world stage with Putin right by his side, where he said, I don't know why it would be Russia, and then they tried to say after that he said wouldn't. It was about as clumsy as all the other cover-ups that we see in this report. They knew there was interference. They tried to benefit from it. They did things that were wrong. They lied about the same. But those don't equate with crimes. So, Mr. Clapper, where does it leave us in terms of what to do with this information? What would be a righteous move by Congress?
Well, you know, that's a great question. It really is a conundrum, as others have commented earlier, particularly for the Democrats in the House, is you know, whether to pursue this in terms of impeachment. Clearly, at least my read of the Mueller report is that there is a roadmap laid out there if the Congress chooses to follow it. I think the decision is whether to do that in the face of you know, Republican resistance or opposition in the Senate, which is where conviction has to happen, or let this play out through the 2020 election. I've always felt that impeachment, even the process of impeachment, would cause even more divisiveness and polarization in this country, and the only way to resolve this probably is at the polling place.
I mean, look, that is the purest way to speak out in opposition to something. And I don't know how it's going to get more clear than it is in this record. And if you don't have buy-in, if you don't have consensus, I don't know where it goes. But Jim Clapper, thank you so much for your guidance throughout this. And we will have to lean on you heavily going forward as well as we start to process everything that's in here and how it fits together.